like I said, like a lot of the video, like, like to a certain degree, it is funny, but I think that people have to realize, like, um, what's going on, like, behind this. Like, why are they acting like this? And I really, truly think, like, with what I've been exposed to over the past week, I really do truly think that a lot of these kids are in a serious mental health crisis. Like I said, I don't even say that to be mean or hateful. Um, I didn't realize how bad it was until this like recently happened to me. Like I feel like before I was like on the outside looking in, and now I see it from the inside. You know what I mean? And I like wrote down like a few notes and stuff that I wanted to go over. Like I wrote a few bullet points and stuff. I just want to reiterate that I don't think that this is the YouTubers' fault. I truly think that a lot of them are afraid to speak about these sort of topics, which makes it even more funny to me that their fan bases are so hyper focused on being woke, when their content creators don't even talk about these issues. And I'm not saying like, oh, they should be. That's fine that they don't talk about these issues. They're just children's entertainers. They shouldn't have to. But I think at the very, very least, they could encourage their fan bases to educate themselves, to educate their friends, to educate their family, and not to go around the internet and harass content creators over things they did years ago. I think that if there were truly racist content creators or homophobic content creators, they will be dealt with by their peers in their own community. Like we just saw it happen for Connor months ago. Like he was actually showing signs of like actual racism with true hurtful intent behind it. And what happened? He was ostracized from the community. Mizkif kicked him out of his house. If I were truly a racist, homophobic person, my peers would hold me accountable. I don't need to be held accountable by the Minecraft community who's like going around playing some sort of like moral high ground. And one of the things that is said a lot is that Dream doesn't want this kind of behavior and that he denounces all toxic stans. And that's true. He has done that. But from what I've seen, a lot of the toxic stans are still under the impression that he defends them. I mean, you guys just saw it in all of those videos where kids are like, Dream, went up to bat for us. He defended his stans, etc. Which also leads me into, we have to stop referring to our viewers as stans. And if you label yourself a stan, you need to stop. I have not seen any behavior from a self-proclaimed stan that is healthy. And I'm not like trying to cancel anybody for having stans. I have, people in my audience who like call themselves Kaceytron stans. Don't call yourself that anymore. Like, it's a behavior that I have to get away from and I'm going to get away from. But stan is becoming exactly what Eminem wrote that song about. Honestly, I feel like the song has like given it new meaning. I want to talk a little bit about some of the behavior that I've seen with the parasocial relationships. And if you look more, you'll just see more of it. Like if you just scratch the surface, you'll see a lot of the parasocial relationships going on. But if you dig more, you will be astounded. First of all, I just want to talk about this cancel culture and like how it's kind of hard to, I first want to say, I do not think that I'm the person who should be talking about this. Like, I do not think that I am particularly qualified to talk about this issue. But at this point, I feel like I'm the only one who will. I feel like a lot of people are afraid. I would love for somebody who was more qualified to talk about this issue. But let me just kind of go over some of the things that I've seen that have been alarming to me. So one of the things that is very common in this Minecraft community that I've seen is it's almost like these stands will look for things to cancel people over. And they won't even do it to people they necessarily hate, like me. They will do it to the content creators that they like. And they do it for attention. Just a couple of days ago, like while I was caught up in my whole controversy, there was another video that surfaced of George apparently saying the B slur from like 7 years ago. And in the video that emerged, it was on Twitter. I looked at all of the quote tweets, and it was just filled with like hundreds of quote tweets of these like teenage girls like, you know, George, please address this. You really need to address this. I support you and I love you, but please address this. Please apologize. And to me, this behavior just says that they're not looking for an apology on what actually happened. They're just looking for attention from the creator. So then they can feel like they brought something to their attention, that they educated them, and that they helped them and supported them through this difficult time. Do you guys get what I mean by saying that? How this like cancel culture that they use on creators all the time, even some of the creators that they like, is just a form of getting an attention and forming another parasocial relationship. The other thing that I wanted to point out that is very alarming to me is the amount of likes and followers these stan accounts will get. And it's almost like it's a competition of who can be the best fan. I have seen Twitter accounts with like 100 followers post tweets that are hateful about me that will get anywhere from 10,000 to 30,000 likes. To me, this is another form of parasocial relationships and them getting their validation purely through these content creators and being an obsessive stan. The other thing that's really concerning about it is when you go to some of these kids' page, which I have, like, since I've gotten all this hate, like, I've just been like, I wonder what kind of stuff this kid is posting about. Their Twitter page will just be like, they're tweeting so much, like to an unhealthy degree. And with all of like the hateful, toxic, like tweets and TikToks and stuff I've had made at me that get like literally 30,000 likes, I feel like they get even more validation out of being hateful. So they're getting attention for defending, for what they think is defending these content creators while also being hateful. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that I've just been thinking about a lot is how the relationship that kids have with their celebrity idols has changed since, I was young. Social media has made it so that they can directly interact with the content creators. You know, like you think of like 10 years ago whenever like the Bieber fever shit was going on. Think of how much worse it would be if like the fans were able to like tweet at Justin Bieber and get like a like from him. You know, it just like, I think that getting that kind of like exposure to like these people that they idolize at such a young, vulnerable age is concerning. And then just the way they trivialize real issues over petty drama. We can go a little bit more into that, but really it just is truly the kind of like cancel culture that gives Republicans ammo. I do think that a lot of these kids do want to see a world change for the better, and I'm excited to see what will happen when they're mature enough to do something with their knowledge. But I see a lot of red flags in the way that some of them are using their knowledge. A lot of red flags. And like I said, it's not just a few of them, it's a lot of them. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about that is like especially a little bit hard for me to talk about, because I feel like it'll sound like I'm attacking some of the Minecraft creators. And I'm not trying to. But some of the bullying that goes on in their own communities, you know, like I've been getting a lot of hate, and as I've been getting the hate, and like even some of my viewers have been getting like some hate for just like watching and supporting me. And I told my viewers, you know, like we're adults. I feel like at least this is hate that I'm getting instead of like an impressionable, vulnerable child. And I think that the bullying that goes on in the community is truly heading towards disaster. There was one story that I found particularly. Hold on. Let me find it.
Not enough people know about this.
Yeah, it's true. So, like I said, I've been doing like a little bit of digging just because some of the behavior that I've seen, like I said, has been like shocking and cause for concern to me. And I heard about this one story about one of the stans in the community who wrote a fan fiction about some of the creators that I guess was like sexual in nature, you know, which is weird. But once they wrote this, it kind of like got a lot of attention from other Minecraft stans in the community and turned into the kid being bullied, and told to kill themselves and harassed. And the kid actually did write a suicide note on Instagram. This happened maybe a couple of months ago. This is what their suicide note that posted on Instagram says. I shouldn't wait 24 hours. This needs to happen now. I would like to completely apologize. Sorry, this is so sad. Like, I don't know if this is real or not, but even if it's not real, this is like alarming. Like, even if this is fake, the fact that a kid wrote this, I would like to completely apologize properly now, not only to apologize to anyone who had the unfortunate experience of reading the story that I wrote, but also to Dream George and Sapnap. I created this story with the intention of exercising my horror writing abilities as well as seeing if I could outdo any of the more popular shock fics. I realize now that was a silly goal my mind conjured up at 2 a.m, and I should have never gone through with it. Even worse, I never deleted it after. This is by no means any excuse, but I promise you I didn't mean for it to gain so much traction. A few reactions here and there was enough for me. I didn't want this, and I'm sure no one else did either. It was a stupid idea that definitely overstepped boundaries, and I'm not proud of crossing. I'm not proud of my story. I'm not proud of anything I wrote. I do not agree with anything I wrote. After speaking to multiple people and looking back in the history as a victim of sexual assault myself, I really don't understand what compelled me to write or post it. It's vile. The Dream Team do not deserve to be portrayed in that sort of way, fictional or not. They're wonderful and people who deserve the world, not fictional slander. And even in this suicide letter that they wrote on Instagram, there are more kids in there commenting that they're glad they killed themselves. This is a TikTok that literally, I don't know how old this girl is, but this girl was apparently friends with this kid, and they confirmed that the kid did kill themselves. And it's like, why is this little girl on TikTok having to talk about this? So here's a video from this girl confirming this story.
Any of the contents in the fanfiction though. The original story was taken off of AO3 and now it's being reposted. This is a complete violation. It was taken down for a reason. The author was getting death threats and horrible things mentioned in the comments of the fanfiction. Granted, the fanfiction had a really heavy topic, but from what I've been told, the author was not in a great headspace during the time of writing it, and then they posted it, and all of a sudden it's gotten a lot of traction. Because of the death threats and terrible things in the comments, the author took their own life. Reading the copy and pasted copy on AO3 again is a completely disrespectful action, and I think everybody who does that needs to rethink their actions. This fandom has turned into something toxic and something it really shouldn't have turned into. I think everybody should delete any TikToks and any posts that they've made about it. I hope the author rests in peace. Not enough people know about this. I'm going to be talking about Dream's Homemade Catboy.
But yeah, like, a lot of the behavior that I've seen is very concerning, and I wish that people would stop being afraid to talk about it. I think that this is something that truly does need to be talked about. There needs to be a lot more attention on this topic because this whole thing is heading for disaster, and there are more kids that are at risk of being bullied by their own community. Sorry, that got like a little bit fucking serious right now. And like I said, I do not feel like I'm the person who should be talking about these things. I do not feel like I'm qualified, but I feel like I'm the only person who's talking about it. So please, somebody else who is more qualified, please. I am like begging you to please look into this.
Thank you for subscribing.
I'm gonna take a break for a second. I'll be right back.